have the right to know where Kamala Harris stands on those issues? Or should we be kept in the dark because Trump bad? Trump bad. That's what Joe Scarborough wants. He wants journalists to line up and say in unison over and over again, Trump bad. Because that's been real effective, right? Listen, he wants to be a cheerleader for one side. That's great. Go be a cheerleader for one side. But don't sit there on your boring ass morning show where you try to gaslight the American public about Biden's mental health and pass judgment on people who are trying to get Kamala Harris to answer questions on something amazing, policy, where she stands on.
Buckle up, because something explosive just rocked the Young Turks, and nobody saw it coming. Anna Kasparian just went scorched earth on MSNBC, accusing them of peddling outright lies about Donald Trump. But she didn't stop at calling out the mainstream media. She took aim at the entire left-wing echo chamber, torched the progressive playbook, and even landed blows on her own allies. This wasn't your usual TYT segment. This was a top host going rogue, ditching the woke script, and choosing truth over party loyalty. And here's the real kicker. It could signal the start of a major fracture inside TYT. Some are even wondering if Anna is just one step away from walking out for good. So, what exactly did she say? Why is the media losing its mind over it? And could this be the moment she turns the progressive media world upside down? Let's break it all down. Roll the clip.
False equivalency going on in the coverage of this race. Their objectivity actually is not objective at all. It ends up playing to Donald Trump's advantage every day.
In an effort to appear balanced, to appear objective, mistakes are absolutely being made and standards are being applied to both candidates here when Donald Trump is a different animal. He is an insurrectionist.
Well, the crew over at Morning Joe on MSNBC, the same crew that wanted Biden to continue running in this presidential race, despite the fact that he was suffering from clear cognitive decline. Yeah, those people, they're furious that journalists would have the audacity of ever reporting anything negative on the Democratic nominee, Kamala Harris, because Trump he's a special threat. And so since they've decided that Trump is a very special threat, well, then journalists should hide information about Kamala Harris from you. So you don't vote for Trump and definitely vote for Kamala Harris. In other words, they want the media to manipulate you and do the exact opposite of journalism. Don't believe me? Well, why don't we hear co-host Mike Barnicle make his case?
But there's a false equivalency going on in the coverage of this race, in that Donald Trump can say whatever crazy things he wants to say about submarines and sharks and electric batteries, whatever he wants to say. And it's not really covered in the sense that it's covered describing who said it, why he said it, and who the man is, Trump, out of his mind. And always in that story, in the equivalency, the false equivalency by too many reporters and too many American newspapers. There's also, by the way, Kamala Harris changed her mind on fracking. They always throw in something that in coverage of the story. It's ridiculous. We don't cover the man for how dangerous he is.
Just suggest that journalists shouldn't report on Kamala Harris changing her mind on fracking? Is that not an important policy that voters should be informed about? And also, is he under the impression that telling Americans the truth about where Kamala Harris stands on the issues automatically means that Donald Trump is going to win the election? This is when I started my career, when I started working at TYT back in 2007, there really wasn't left-wing media. There was Fox News, and the right-wing media infrastructure was kind of being built. And I prided myself and the left wing on the fact that we didn't try to manipulate audiences, and we didn't try to lie to people or cover up the truth about our preferred candidates or preferred politicians. We didn't want to stoop low and do what the right wing was doing with their misinformation, with the fact that they would omit incredibly relevant, important parts of the story in order to make Republicans look good and Democrats look bad. And now we're in this awful era of conditioning audiences and readers to expect journalists to cheerlead like partisan hacks for one candidate or the other. And if you don't do it, if you don't engage in it, they get mad at you. You're supposed to be my cheerleader. You're supposed to cheerlead for my preferred candidate. What are you doing? How dare you talk about Kamala Harris and how she went from being against fracking to now saying she's totally in favor?
Anna Kasparian just dropped a blistering critique of the liberal media, and she's not holding back. Her latest takedown, aimed squarely at MSNBC, exposes just how far left-leaning outlets have drifted from real journalism. She calls out figures like Joe Scarborough for openly suggesting reporters should shield Democrats like Kamala Harris from criticism simply because Donald Trump is labeled the bigger threat. Kasparian's message is razor-sharp. The press is not supposed to be a political bodyguard. That kind of thinking insults the public's intelligence and shreds the very purpose of a free press. She accuses outlets like MSNBC of trading truth for team loyalty, acting as megaphones for the Democratic Party instead of watchdogs for the people. Instead of giving voters the facts about leaders like Harris, they dodge, deflect, and drown every conversation in yet another anti-Trump rant. Kasparian's demand is simple and uncompromising. Give the people facts, not spin. When the media stops holding all politicians to the same standard, public trust collapses. And once it's gone, it's almost impossible to win back.
Doesn't fearmonger about Trump enough? Has he considered that maybe, just maybe, the media had been fear-mongering about Trump so much, so often, that Americans have become desensitized to it? Has he considered that? Has he considered the fact that Joe Biden ran his campaign almost entirely on Donald Trump is a threat to democracy, and it wasn't working? Why do you think it wasn't working? This is the most brain-dead argument I have heard on MSNBC, and that is saying something. Because there are a lot of brain-dead arguments made on MSNBC. But we're about to hear more. So Joe Scarborough argues that journalists who are trying to be objective actually end up helping Trump. So maybe don't be objective. Let's watch.
Even Arlington, you've seen major newspaper outlets talk about, well, how will this impact Kamala Harris and the issue of Afghanistan after he goes? And he
does a thumbs up and pictures.
Well, and just acts like a brute and desecrates Arlington. That's not a time to say, well, how does it, it's, but again, we see it time and time again. For some reason, the mainstream media, what are we, 9 years in to Donald Trump's era in American politics, still doesn't know how to cover Donald Trump. Their objectivity actually is not objective at all. It ends up playing to Donald Trump's advantage.
Don't be objective because it plays to Donald Trump's advantage? Why? Because journalists want to answer a question about how Kamala Harris would handle Afghanistan, what her views on Afghanistan happen to be. Do the American voters have the right to know where Kamala Harris stands on those issues? Or should we be kept in the dark because Trump bad? Trump bad! That's what Joe Scarborough wants. He wants journalists to line up and say in unison over and over again, Trump bad! Because that's been real effective, right? Listen, he wants to be a cheerleader for one side. That's great. Go be a cheerleader for one side. But don't sit there on your boring ass morning show where you try to gaslight the American public about Biden's mental health and pass judgment on people who are trying to get Kamala Harris to answer questions on something amazing, policy, where she stands on policy. Because there are voters out there, believe it or not, who aren't partisan hacks. Those are the individuals who actually end up deciding elections, and they want to know where Kamala Harris stands on policy. Simply hearing Trump bad over and over again.
Anna Kasparian isn't just calling out MSNBC for bias. She's torching the entire system of double standards in political coverage. She's had enough of watching Kamala Harris's policy flips, like her fracking U-turn, get brushed off, while Donald Trump's every misstep is replayed on loop. This kind of selective reporting doesn't just skew public perception, it shields the powerful and distorts reality. For Kasparian, the media's job isn't to protect political favorites, it's to grill everyone with the same tough questions. Instead, networks have fallen into audience capture, telling their loyal base exactly what they want to hear, creating echo chambers where facts are filtered through party loyalty. The result? A public armed with opinions, not understanding. She warns that this lack of honest challenge has gutted public debate and left voters stuck in tribal politics. Her core message is blunt: the truth matters more than your team. And if someone like Kasparian, who spent years in progressive media, is breaking ranks to say it out loud, you know something's shifting. So is this her red pill moment? Will others on the left follow? Or will she get the full cancel culture treatment? One thing's certain, the cracks in the narrative are widening, and Kasparian isn't backing down.